This is the METS POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
A Manny Machado grand slam off of David Peterson proved to be the difference. The Mets slugged 4 home runs. It's still not enough. They fall 7-4 to the San Diego Padres, continuing to fuel the drama for that third and final wild card spot in the National League. Welcome in to the Mets Postcast here live on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel. You can listen to us in the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Your postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Met game throughout the course of the season. Boy, tonight was a golden opportunity for the New York Mets. Riding a 2-game winning streak earlier in the day, the Diamondbacks losing in extras to the San Francisco Giants felt like a chance for the Mets to widen their gap, their lead over those teams, the Reds, the Giants, and the Diamondbacks that are chasing them down for that third and final wild card spot. Couldn't get it done. And unfortunately, it is an all too familiar conversation that we have been having. And David Peterson is the next guy up for us to talk about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
The starting rotation has been a question mark for what feels like forever. Brendan Sproat and Nolan McLean certainly have put themselves in a different category, a different conversation, but it feels like it's those two guys and it's everybody else. Last night, got to see the piggyback of Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea. That worked out to perfection. Tonight, it was David Peterson's chance to get back into the conversation, to be a part of a playoff rotation. And through the first 4 innings, it certainly felt like the old David Peterson was back. Unfortunately, this is a sentence that we said all too many times this season. It was the 5th inning that did David Peterson in. It was a Manny Machado grand slam that did David Peterson in. He allowed 6 runs on 6 hits, the 1 home run, the grand slam to Manny Machado, the 3 walks. And it's just yet another start for David Peterson where you have to wonder if he is one of the 3 best options for this Mets team if/when they get into the playoffs. Don't want to put the cart too far in front of the horse here. Team's only holding on to a slim 1.5 game lead for a playoff spot right now. But with the way he has pitched recently, it just doesn't feel like David Peterson can be one of the 3 guys that this team turns to. And unfortunately, there are just too many question marks across this entire rotation. Clay Holmes is a question mark. Are you going to have to piggyback him? Sean Manaea, you're going to have to piggyback him. Feels like those 2 guys are linked together. Jonah Tong, he is the one guy of the 3 young starters who has seemed most vulnerable to coming up here, or since coming up, I should say, and making his MLB debut. He looks like the one that hasn't adjusted the best compared to the other 2. Jonah Tong's future is very bright, but some growing pains. And we would understand it if Brendan Sproat and Nolan McLean were going through those same growing pains. Those 2 guys are pitching great. Jonah Tong going through those growing pains. Kodai Senga sent down to the minors. There's just nobody else. There just isn't a good quality third option for this team. And David Peterson, the person that through the first half of the year, through all of last year, was that guy, I don't want to be mean in saying it. He's just no longer that pitcher. And he cannot be somebody that the Mets turn to here in a key spot. The Mets battled back in this one. They were down 1-0 early. Pete tied it up with a home run in the bottom part of the first. Cronenworth got that run back immediately for the Padres in the second. Marte in the lineup for Mark Vientos. He crushed a home run to make it 2-2. Soto and Alvarez, after the Machado grand slam, each hit some solo shots to make it 6-4. Mets are unable to draw any closer than that. They left 7 men on base, 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Just missed opportunities throughout the course of this game to get back into it. They got a benefit, Juan Soto with a nice outfield assist to keep the game 6-3. The Alvarez home run made it 6-4. You felt like that could have been the start of something. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and the Mets fell in this one 7-4. And it just felt like the Mets couldn't finish off the rally in this one. They certainly fought back in this game, down early, down often, did not allow them to just roll over and not fight back in this game. They just couldn't finish the job. And unfortunately, we have to add another game to the counter. They are now 0-65 when trailing after 8 innings this season. They are the lone team in baseball that does not have a comeback after 8 innings. And in the ninth tonight, they got the tying run to the plate in the form of Juan Soto. Unfortunately, a very hard hit ball back to Suarez. Gloved it, knocked it down, was able to make the play for the final out. Just too many question marks for the rotation right now for the New York Mets. And that feels like the overarching theme for this team. You're getting great at-bats from Juan Soto. You're getting great at-bats from Lindor. Alonso's got power. You're getting, I think, enough offense. Just feels like every night is a roll of the dice on your pitchers if it's not Nolan McLean or Brandon Sproat. And that's just not good enough for a team that's holding on to this slim of a margin. Just you can't have it. And perhaps they could have been more aggressive with Petey in this game there in that inning before turning to the bullpen. Bullpen did a great job. Want to shout out some performances from there a little bit later on. But just David Peterson is a problem. Ricardo says it's official. We have a David Peterson problem. I think it's been official for a little bit now. I mean, it's been official for a while. I'll pull up the game logs for Petey to see when we can go back. But it has been a struggle here for his last 4 starts. I mean, it has not really been good. I mean, you go back through August and September, he had only 3 starts in which he allowed 2 runs or fewer. If you'll remember, he had that bad start against Atlanta back on August 13th, where he gave up 6 runs in 3 1/3. Then threw the gem against Washington. Then 5 2/3, 2 runs against the Braves. They lost that game. Then he gave up the 8 runs against Miami. He gave up 4 runs in a game against Cincinnati, gave up the 3 runs in 5 innings against Philadelphia, and now tonight's start. He just has not been very good here outside of that start back on August 19th. His last victory, he did pick up a victory in that game on September 5th against Cincinnati, but the wins have been few and far between for David Peterson. And he just doesn't seem like the same pitcher that was dominating in the first half of the year. And I applaud Petey for what he's done for this team last year and through the first half of this year, but right now he is not helping this team win. I want to talk about Juan Soto and an at-bat that he had against Mason Miller. I want to shout out some members of the bullpen. Want to shout out Francisco Alvarez. Also want to hear from you here on the Mets Postcast. We'll get to it all here on the other side. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I, we make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. Football back, PrizePicks, simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. All you do, pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. Quick, easy, my favorite way to follow along with football. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch, built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONMLB. Nothing like catching a baseball game live. Energy, crowd, the chance to see your team in person. What about actually getting those tickets? Well, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives advantage back to the fans. Gametime, it is fast, easy, and it's backed by the Gametime guarantee. You're always going to get 100% authentic tickets. They're delivered on time and at the best prices. Plus, All the fees are included. The price you see is the price you pay. The app makes it super simple. I love the seat view feature. You can click on the section. You're going to see the exact view of the seats that you are buying. Fees are included. There are no surprise fees when you get to the checkout screen. Maybe you're up in the air about where exactly to sit. The zone deals have you covered. You pick the section. Gametime picks the seats. You save big. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Back here, Mets Postcast, Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Chris Schubert here with you, recapping 7-4 loss for the Mets. They can never make it easy on us, riding some momentum over the last 2 days. The Diamondbacks losing in extras to the San Francisco Giants. But with this loss, the Mets now will do a little standings check here, holding on to just that same 1.5 game lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Reds and Giants still remain 2 games back. Pressure is on. One more game in this series against San Diego, and then a weekend clash with the Washington Nationals over the weekend for the Mets. They just have to find a way to win this series tomorrow and continue to keep the Diamondbacks, Reds, and Giants at bay with the season down to its final 10 games. That Juan Soto at bat versus Mason Miller, the one where the foul ball home run just barely missed tying the game at that point. I'll tell you, while the result wasn't what we all wanted, boy, was it fun seeing the Mets go up against one of the elite relievers in the game with their best hitter, and you feel like you have a chance in those moments. It was special to see Juan Soto against Mason Miller, and the hope is the more chances that Juan Soto gets in those moments, the more he'll be able to come through. He was great tonight, hit his 41st home run, tying his career high, which he set last year. So has 10 games to pass that, set a new career high in what is a down year for Juan Soto. Just continues to be amazing. I know he came up there in the 9th, but a really hard hit ball right back to Suarez. I mean, not much more you can do than try to put the ball in play. It's exactly what he did. He just happened to hit it right at Suarez, and that ended the game for the Mets. But just fun to see that at bat. Wish the result was different, but you like your chances the more at bats Juan Soto gets in those types of moments. The stuff to keep an eye on. I just want to shout out. This feels like the right place to do it. I don't want to hear anybody question the toughness of Francisco Alvarez ever again and the commitment that Francisco Alvarez has to this New York Mets team. I thought there was no chance after taking that ball off of the elbow last night, after already dealing with the 2 injuries to his hands, that there was even a shot that he was going to be in this game tonight. We heard earlier in the day that they activated Luis Torrens, Hayden Senger sent back down. I was stunned when the lineup card came out today and I saw Francisco Alvarez on there. And to think with that elbow, with the 2 hands, still was able to hit an opposite field home run. I mean, you saw it. He took a swing in his last at bat where he fouled one off and he was the pain through his hand. I mean, he is gutting through it for this team. He had the good result tonight with the home run. It's just incredible to see what he's trying to battle through to help this team, to try to help this team in any way possible to help get them to the postseason. And I will never question Francisco Alvarez ever again. Not to say that I was before, but man, I will stop before questioning how much Francisco Alvarez cares, because he certainly does. I mean, he's putting it on full display right here. He is just being super tough for this team. Ryan Helsley. Do we want to take a moment to talk about Ryan Helsley throwing a scoreless inning in a close game? I mean, I was a little nervous when he came into the game here tonight, but it was 1 scoreless inning, did not allow a hit, did walk somebody, but it was a scoreless inning. A game at that point was 6-4. It was certainly nice to see, and the Mets are going to need all hands on deck here over the final 10 games, so getting the best version of Ryan Helsley certainly will help with that. I see a lot of people talking about it. We'll make this the final thought here on the show. Jonah Tong goes tomorrow for the Mets. And of the 3 kids that have been called up by this team, clearly the one who has hit more bumps in the road, has hit more of the roadblocks. And he is in that same group of too many question marks for this Mets rotation, along with David Peterson, along with Sean Manaea, along with Clay Holmes. And so the Mets need a big start from him tomorrow. This is a very important game. And I've seen a lot of you mention the aggressiveness that Carlos Mendoza should have tomorrow. And we'll see. I mean, certainly you could have made the argument to make a change tonight here a little early in the game. He didn't do that. how aggressive will Carlos Mendoza manage this game tomorrow afternoon, knowing that the Mets absolutely need this? I mean, they need every game that they can get here down the stretch. They are only holding on to a 1.5 game lead. They could have ended the night with at least a 2-game lead, but unable to get it done here tonight. So the pressure is on the finale of this series, and you're turning it over to Jonah Tong to get it done. So we'll see how aggressive Carlos Mendoza wants to manage, and we'll see if Jonah Tong can bounce back after a rough outing. His last time out, giving up the 6 runs in that first inning against the Texas Rangers. So a very important bounce back effort for Tong here. Gave up the 4 runs in the 6 innings against the Reds. Thought he pitched better than the final stat line showed in that series. And then he had the debut against the Marlins, which gave up the 4 runs, only one of them being earned against him. So a bounce back performance certainly needed. A bounce back performance from this Mets team certainly needed. But they are just, it's a roll of the dice if McClain and Sproat aren't pitching right now. It's just as simple as that. I hate to sound like a broken record and say the same thing over and over and over again, but that's just the truth of the situation for the New York Mets. David Peterson, the guy who was so shorthanded for them the first half of the year, looking up at the SNY postgame, has an ERA north of 7.5 since August 6th. It just simply isn't good enough. It's really not even rosterable when you see how poorly he's been pitching here since August 6th, but Mets are kind of out of options. I mean, I don't really need to see Sean Manaea or Clay Holmes more than I'm seeing them right now. McGill shut down, Senga working through things in the minors. So it just doesn't seem like the Mets have a whole lot of options. They got to do it with this group, and that will start with Jonah Tong tomorrow. The Mets fall. A Manny Machado home run grand slam is the thing that sinks them. They hit 4 solo home runs, unable to do any more damage than that. And unfortunately, they fell in the second game of this series, and they're holding on to just a slim 1.5 game lead here with 10 games to go. Can't believe it. We have 10 games to go here in the regular season. Jonah Tong taking the mound tomorrow for the New York Mets. Hopefully, at the end of the day, I said it yesterday, I'll repeat it again here today. The Mets continue to win series. I think they're going to be fine. I think winning series is just going to be the ticket. A good opportunity over the weekend to take at least 2 out of 3, if not sweep Washington. So if you can win tomorrow, if you can take 2 out of 3 from San Diego, I think that is enough of a confidence boost to think that with then 9 games to go, you can get this done. And a sweep over the weekend of Washington would certainly go a long way. They got to get there first. That starts tomorrow with Jonah Tong on the mound going for the series win. Until then, have a good one, Mets fans.